my children play active video games. Is that good enough?
Well, if I'm looking at the research, actually it shows us that, and I just have the numbers for 8 to 10-year-olds, they spend on average over 5 hours a day involved with media, whether it's television, computers, listening to music, playing video, whatever it is, over 5 hours a day for 8 to 10-year-olds, and it goes up as they get older.
Do we need more screen time? I mean,
we don't need more screen time. We need our children to be active. We need as parents to encourage our children to be active. We need to be active with our kids and be good role models for them and to encourage physical activity. And that's, the video games are fun, they're exciting, and yes, some of them we move and we're active, but they're limited motions, movements.
Right.
And as we get better, we can even limit those movements to.
Right, and I'm not going to pick on any particular gaming system, but a gaming system where you have a small, very light handheld device and the slight wrist movement is what creates the movement on the screen. I've watched the children that get really good at this, they have very minimal little movements. So this is no longer tennis. This is this little flick of the wrist type of thing that is no longer becoming active. So now you have to argue, well, where's the activity happening? Well, okay, maybe it's in one of those dance programs. And so in the dance programs, you've got these movements that are done. And I would argue that, yes, you've got a fairly nice training system for lower body movements. But that's about it, right? I mean, you've got some quick lower body movements. The brain has to think about it, right and left foot. And those are good. But there's no lower to upper body coordination. There's no upper body. There's no flexion extension patterns that are going on through the body. There's no getting down and back up again, no jumping. I mean, you might think of that as jumping, but that's actually not really jumping. So, sure, I mean, it's a reasonable training program with a very limited scope of movements. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not a complete physical education program. We have to differentiate between activity for activity's sake, from a standpoint of pumping the blood, and physical education. Those are not the same thing. Physical education is a program designed to train the body neurologically to become better skilled, more agile, more skilled in body movements, and stronger in body movements. It's not the same as basically, I'm going to hop up and down for 30 minutes and that's my exercise. We're not talking about just exercise, we're talking about physical education. Different.
And we're talking about, and from my perspective, a lot of this is we need to start young, again, so we can turn our children into functional adults. Right. We all want to be able to carry the groceries in from our car. We want to be able to stand up out of a chair, sit down in a chair. I want to be able to carry my grandchildren if I'm blessed enough to have them one day.
You want to be able to maintain core support so your bladder's not falling out.
Yeah. So there's lots of functional, just general movements in our lifetime, in our everyday lives, routines that we need to practice and get, build some strength and carry a 10-pound bag of sugar or coffee or whatever it is.
Right. Well, hopefully not either sugar or coffee,
no,
but
yeah.
from a health perspective. But
what I see in my practice, in movement and bodywork practice, is a lot of adults that have never learned an effective physical education program, never took an effective physical education program, so their bodies lacked basic movement skills. And as a result, over time, that we've seen compression in the neck, compression in the low back, hip problems, knee problems, ankle problems. It goes on, and then the organs falling down. Do you want your child, by the time they're 40, to have neck problems and back problems and things like that? This is when if we implement this early enough, this is when it makes the difference. Not saying that it can't be done by the time they're 18 or even as an adult, but it's much better to do it early, which is why we're implementing this kind of basic core program.